Have you been thinking about downsizing this year? You know, there's a way to do it that gives you more freedom, more leverage, and more financial breathing room. You know, most women assume that downsizing means giving something up. But here in the Denver suburbs right now, I'm seeing women over 50 use it to gain control over their money, their options, and how they want to live next. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through what's creating that opportunity and the quiet mistakes that can make it slip away if you're not paying attention. Before we even talk about houses, though, I want to start with one thing that most people don't realize they're actually moving, and it's not the house. What you're really moving is your leverage. And when I say leverage, I don't mean some Wall Street thing. I mean this. Your current home gives you options, and options are what make a move feel calm instead of chaotic. In real life, leverage looks like this: having enough equity to put down so your payment doesn't boss you around, being able to negotiate to buy down your rate instead of just hoping that rates magically drop, having a cushion to cover repairs, moving costs, or even a gap month without panicking, and being able to negotiate harder because you're not stretched to the ceiling. And here's the part that most people miss. If you downsize the right way, you're not giving things up. You're trading square footage for control over your monthly costs, your stress level, and your next chapter. So the real question isn't, do I want a smaller house? It's, do I want more breathing room and more choices? Now, that's the mindset. But let's talk about why 2026 actually gives Denver area women more leverage than they've had in a while. And no, this isn't me yelling, downsize now, like some infomercial at 2 a.m. This is me saying, if you're going to do it, let's do it in a way that keeps you in control. So let's talk about what's actually happening with the rates and the negotiations right here in our Denver metro area. Because right now we're in this weird but useful window where mortgage rates aren't what they were a few years ago. And yeah, we're not back in the ultra low era either. Most lenders today are offering 30-year fixed rates in the mid to high fives to low sixes, roughly around 5.8 to 6.2%, depending on your credit profile, your lender, and how deliberately you shop for your options. And some well-qualified buyers can even find sub 5.5% rates if they're willing to look at things like points or lender programs. So no, rates aren't low, but here's what's different in the Denver metro market right now. We're seeing more homes on the market and longer days on the market, which means that sellers, especially those who want to keep things moving, are often more open to concessions. And this is where leverage comes back into the picture. Instead of just negotiating price, I'm seeing women use their equity and seller concessions to help buy down their interest rate, reduce their monthly payment, or cover costs that normally would come out of pocket. So their effective payment ends up looking very different than what they expected when they first heard rates are in the sixes. And yes, there's a lot of talk about rates possibly drifting a bit lower later in 2026, but most economics agree on one thing: timing the market is unpredictable, which is why I usually see better outcomes for women focused on planning and leverage instead of waiting for some perfect future moment to arrive. Instead of thinking, I'll move when rates behave, a more powerful question is, how do I use what I already have, my equity, my timing, and my options to put myself in the strongest position now? Because that's where real control comes from. You know, let me throw this out there. I'm genuinely curious. When you think about downsizing, are you thinking more about A, simplifying your space, or B, strengthening your financial position? You know, if you feel like sharing, drop an A or B down in the comments. I read every one, and it actually helps me understand more what women in this area are thinking about. If you're somewhere between A and B, that actually tells me something important too, because when those two start mixing together, space and money, lifestyle and numbers, that's usually a moment when a lot of women make a move that feels right, but isn't fully thought out yet. And that leads to one of the most frequent mistakes I see them make. Women rush to find the next place before they really understand the power of the place that they're in now. They'll say things like, well, I just want less house. I want it easier. I want it simpler. And those are good instincts, but if you don't first look at what your current home can create for you, you can accidentally limit your options instead of expanding them. I've seen women who could have lowered their monthly costs significantly, kept more cash accessible, or positioned themselves for long-term flexibility. But because they focused on the move itself, not the strategy behind the move, they left some of that on the table. And this isn't about being perfect, it's about being intentional. Because once you slow down and look at the strategy instead of just the house, something else starts to come into focus. What you're really planning for isn't the move, it's the life you want this next home to support. The women that I see that feel the best after their move usually do 3 things first. 1, they get clear on their numbers, not just what your home might sell for, but what that means for their day-to-day life moving forward. 2, they think about how long they want this next home to serve them. Is it 5 years, 10 years, longer? And 3, they ask different questions than most people. Instead of saying, what can I afford? They ask, what kind of life do I want this home to support? Closer to family, lower monthly stress, more travel, more breathing room. And when those pieces line up, the move stops feeling like a leap and starts feeling like a plan. And once a plan starts forming, that's usually when another question quietly shows up, one that most women don't expect, but almost everyone has. It's not about money, it's about timing. Now, this is where I want to be clear. When people say you can't time the market, what they usually mean is you can't predict the perfect week, when the perfect interest rate shows up, or when the perfect home comes available. But you can time your readiness. And readiness isn't about urgency, it's about clarity. It's knowing what your home could realistically sell for and what that means for your life moving forward and what kind of flexibility you'd have if an opportunity showed up. That's not timing the market, that's positioning yourself inside it. That's why I keep saying this time of year isn't about rushing into decisions. It's about getting oriented. You don't have to list. You don't have to tour homes. You don't have to do anything. But understanding where you stand financially and strategically changes how every option feels when it does appear. And this is what I actually spent a lot of time in January and February doing with women in the Denver suburbs. I walked them through a no-pressure home equity review. It's not a sales meeting. It's simply a clear look at what is your home worth in today's market and what your equity could support and what your real options look like now and later. If that sounds helpful, I'll leave a link below so we can connect and you can request one to look at your own pace. By the way, if we haven't met yet, my name is Peggy Durstoff. I'm a realtor with Live Denver Suburbs powered by HomeSmart, and I specialize in helping women over 50 make smart, confident moves, especially when they're navigating a new chapter on their own here in the Denver metro area. If you found this conversation helpful, consider subscribing to my channel. I post weekly videos to help you think through downsizing, selling, and moving forward without pressure and without regret. And in one of my upcoming videos, I'm going to be talking about something that surprises a lot of women. The types of homes in the Denver suburbs that look perfect for downsizing, but can quietly create more stress than freedom. So if this topic has been sitting with you, that's a really good one to keep an eye out for. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.